Okay, we start then?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome everyone to the closed session portion of the city council meeting. I am calling this meeting to order. The time is now 5 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll?
Councilmember Gama,
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez. Here. Councilmember McQueen-Lejeune. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Perez. Here. And Mayor Martinez.
Present. All right, so we're now going to hear from public comments, if there are any. If anybody's participating from Zoom, we'd ask you to use the raise your hand feature so we can call on you. You will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments tonight?
There are no public comments for closed session.
Okay, that's too bad, or it's okay. Mr. City Attorney, please read the closed session items into the record.
Absolutely, Mayor Martinez. We have 3 items on closed session tonight. The first one is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. The property in question is 140 Pleasant Valley Road. The negotiating parties are listed in the agenda, and under negotiation is price and terms of payment. The second one is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency designated representatives are located on the agenda. The employee association is SEIU Service Employees International Union Local 721. And the third and final item is public employee appointment for the city manager pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 and 54954 Subdivision E, and it's for an interim appointment.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spalding. Do any council members have any conflicts to disclose on any of the listed items for the closed session agenda?
Oh, my husband. Thank you.
All right, sounds good.
There's your burger.
It's okay. This is what happens when you're in a friendly city or small city. So, anyways, to continue, the council will recess to closed session. The time is now 5:02 p.m. Welcome everyone to the City Council regular meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is now 6:30 p.m. Please stand and join me for the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, it's time for roll call. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll?
Councilmember Gama.
Here.
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Here.
Councilmember McQueen Lejeune. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Perez.
Here.
And Mayor Martinez.
Present. Thank you. So tonight we will be hearing our inspiration by Mayor Pro Tem Perez. So the floor is all yours.
It took me a moment to come up with this, but I'm a Ventura Downtown Lions Club member, so my inspiration tonight will be to celebrate all their contributions to community. We just celebrated our 100 years, and they're involved in so many different community efforts, such as child diabetes, childhood cancer, vision, mental health, veterans, and many others, and where they offer free services. In fact, the Vision program is a program where they offer free eye exams and glasses to anyone who needs it. And they're the ones who started the program at the Santa Barbara Eye Factory, that any child under 18 years of age is eligible for a free pair of glasses. And every Memorial Day and 4th of July, if you look around Ventura and see the flags decorating, that is because of the Ventura Lions Club. And I'm trying to start a Wainimi branch of that so we can do the same thing in our own community. So if anybody's interested, you know where to find me. So that is my inspiration, is the Lions Club and everything that they do for community.
Thanks. All right, Mr. City Attorney, can you please provide closed session report?
Thank you, Mayor Martinez. There was no reportable action taken in closed session tonight.
All right, we will now hear general public comments not pertaining to items on the agenda. Any comments from those participating on Zoom, we'd like to ask that you use the raise your hand feature so we can call on you during the appropriate time. This will be the same process for comments pertaining to each agenda item as well. Staff will unmute your mic and you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. Madam Clerk, does anyone have any public comments?
Yes, I have some written comments, but we'll start with the ones that are here first. I have one from Tom Fiala.
Okay.
Hello, how are you? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tom Fiala, and I'm here to represent the VFW. I'm gonna tell you a little story. So back during the Wainimi Festival, me and my wife were sitting at the VFW tent, and we got the pleasure of meeting Mr. Connors and his wife, and we got to talking a little bit. We didn't have much time to talk that day, so me and Brick met a couple weeks later. When we met, he was talking about the Veterans Day ceremony at that the city was doing. And I said, hey, the VFW would be a great, we would love to participate in this. And he's like, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna hand you off to the chief and you can talk with him because he's organizing this. So while I'm talking with the chief, one of the things he asked me is like, hey, do you guys have an MIA POW flag? I'm like, of course we do. To be honest, I had no idea if we had one or not. So I went back to the VFW and I said, do we have any flags? And he's like, I was told that they were on back order. We didn't have any. I'm like, oh, crap. So I asked a friend of mine who happened to have one. He gave it to me. I brought it to the chief. You guys use it for the Veterans Day ceremony. The ceremony was very nice. It was very cool. About a month ago, then what happened was my friend asked me for his flag back, and I'm like, oh, now I got to go back to the chief and ask him for a flag back. It's kind of crappy of me. So I did it. I got the flag back, gave it to my friend. Then back in January, those 4 flags that were on back order came in. So I proposed to the Post, hey, do you mind if we give the city of Port Wainimi their own MIA POW flag? So I am here today as representative of the VFW. I'm here to gift you guys, the city of Port Wainimi, not you guys personally. You guys can't take it home and use it. But I want to give it to the city. I think his name was Scott, the guy that I was dealing with. Is that his name? Okay.
Scott Madelon.
I'll give it to Georgiana. Or I'll give it to Charles. One of you guys can take it. Anyway, this is from the VFW. It's your own flag. It's opened, and I opened it to make sure it's actually a MIA POW flag and it wasn't the wrong flag put in there. But it is brand new. It's never been used. We use flags all the time at the VFW, and as you may or may not know, we're trying to have have a better relationship with the city, and we're trying to reach out to the community a little bit more than we have in the past. So, as a olive branch, or at least to start the process, we're giving you your own flag. So that was all.
Thank you.
There was no
Thank you.
negative or anything in there. It was all good stuff.
Okay. Any more public comments?
Yes, I noticed Rich Rollins was on the Zoom. So he submitted a public comment and email, and I just wanted to see if he wanted to do it in person since he was here.
No, the written comment is much better.
Okay.
Rich is back.
Okay, so, sorry.
I'm back.
The letter to City Council. Honorable members of the City Council, I want to express my wholehearted support of Mr. Don Villafana. I was shocked and disappointed to hear that he was terminated after many years of outstanding management of the city's Public Works Department for many years. As a city councilman, mayor, and chairman of the Port Hueneme Water Association, I had firsthand experience of the engineering expertise and responsiveness he demonstrated, dealing with various utility emergencies that occurred. He has led a team that continues to prioritize making our streets the best maintained in Ventura County. He has done this by creatively using limited financial resources. As we move into the future, it is clear that we have an aging water structure. It will need a professional of the caliber of Mr. Villafana that can identify, develop, and take decisive action to ensure that our citizens have a reliable water system. Please consider the reinstatement of Mr. Villafana as a Public Works Director. Sincerely, Rich Rollins. We have another public comment from Timothy Fergal, City Librarian at Ray D. Pruder Library. Good evening, esteemed council members, Mayor Pro Tem Perez and Mayor Martinez. I would like to provide you with a brief update on library services to the community from the Ray D. Pruder Library. It was inspiring to attend the grand opening of the new teen center at the Orving S. Carpenter Community Center on February 1st. The library partnered with Jurassic Quest, a traveling dinosaur experience, visiting the Ventura County Fairgrounds from February 3rd to 5th to give away a family 4-pack of tickets. Our winter reading challenge is finished, and we had one winner of a National Geographic Light Up Skyrocket selected from our branch. Next Tuesday, February 14th at 10:30 a.m., Supervisor Vianney Lopez will be a guest reader during our children's story time. On February 16th at 3:30 p.m., the library will be holding our regular STEAM Lab program for school-aged children. On February 23rd, I will be visiting Parkview Elementary School with our youth services librarian to attend Literacy Night. I have been working with residents in Mar Vista Apartments to schedule a digital literacy training with California's Connect, a state-sponsored telecommunications program that provides those with temporary or permanent disabilities affecting hearing, seeing, speaking, moving, and remembering with specialized equipment to help them stay connected. Thank you again for your time and your service to the community. And then there is one more public comment. Hello, City Council and staff. My name is Jacob Marquez Pantoja. I think a good topic for a future agenda item should be updates on the implementation of the city's Parks Master Plan, such as which projects are being worked on and which have been completed. This would be very informative and get residents excited about new happenings which have been approved for the city. The plans are there, we just need to get them going. Lastly, I feel that City Council and staff should consider ideas for the locally famous, or rather infamous, Dewar Park or lack thereof. Maybe a playground, maybe a dog park, maybe a soccer field, maybe mulched and turned into a native plant garden. For some reason, it was absent from the Parks Master Plan, so I think we should work on it as well. Wainimi is mostly built out, so any open space is important and worth caring about. That is all. Thank you. And that concludes the public comment.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
Move to approve?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. We wanted to have one item pulled. That would be item number 11.
Okay.
Charles will give just a little brief statement.
Okay, so as the city clerk mentioned, the request is to pull agenda item number 11 from discussion this evening. City is in recent receipt of some very encouraging news from the state regarding the statewide Proposition 68 grant program. And we're looking to collect that information, get all of our Ts crossed, all of our Is dotted, return to you with a continued discussion on the item that was on tonight, plus additional information about upcoming grant funding. Thank you.
So will we hear about temporary snack bar options for Bubbling Springs at the next meeting, or?
We're going to bring it back as soon as possible. It is the plan to bring it back at the next meeting, yes.
Okay.
All right, so may I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda minus number item 11?
Move to approve?
Second.
Madam Clerk, may we have a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Okay. So, do any members of the council have any conflicts of interest to disclose for any item on the agenda? Okay. So we're gonna move on to the first presentation, Black History Month Proclamation, and I will be reading that to you tonight. City of Port Hueneme Proclamation, Black History Month, February 2023. Whereas much of the city of Port Hueneme's honor, strength, and distinction can be attributed to the diversity of cultures and traditions that are celebrated by our residents. And whereas African Americans have played a significant role in the history of our nation and California's economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development while working tirelessly to promote their culture and history. And whereas as a result of their determination, hard work, and perseverance, African Americans have made valuable and lasting contributions to our community and our state, achieving exceptional success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, science, and the arts. And whereas in 1976, Black History Month was formally adopted to honor and affirm the importance of Black history throughout our American experience, and is full of individuals who took a stance against prejudice, advanced the cause of civil rights, strengthened families, communities, and our nation. And whereas all Americans are encouraged to reflect on past successes and challenges of African Americans and look to the future to improve society so that we live up to the ideas of freedom, equality, and justice. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme does hereby proclaim the month of February 2023 as Black History Month and invites everyone to celebrate the diversity and character of our community and highlight the importance of sharing our culture, customs, and traditions with those around us. Proclaim this 6th day of February 2023. Thank you. We will now consider items on the consent calendar which will be enacted in one motion unless a council member has a request to remove an item for discussion. May I have a motion and a second to approve our consent calendar?
Second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
All right, we will now be moving on to public hearings. Item number 8, continued public hearing on annual development agreement compliance reviews. Madam Clerk, do you have proof of publications as required by law?
Yes.
Do we have a complete file of reports and exhibits?
Yes.
Will staff please present the report?
Yes, good evening. Just before we get going here, I promise I'm not going to bore you with all of the details that we heard last time around. We'll just kind of pick up. I know you weren't here, but I believe you were in the audience, so you kind of heard it all anyway. So there have been a couple changes, though, since we last discussed this item, so I will bring those up to you. But first, real quick, just a little bit of history. This item was continued because there was some concerns about potential conflicts of interest amongst yourselves that you raised. And the city attorney has since determined, per a letter that's attached to your staff report, that there is no conflict for tonight's hearing. So back in 2016, the city council, as you are aware, opted to allow cannabis businesses to operate here in the city as a source of revenue. But since we do not have a cannabis tax here, what we have is the development agreement as a tool to ensure that the various cannabis businesses pay their required obligated payments towards the city's general fund. And as stated in the staff report presented to you back in December, which has been attached to your packet, so all of you do have that. The development agreements basically require 3 things of the developers, and that is to pay a contractual payment. In this case, because these are all dispensaries we're discussing, that's 5% of their annual gross revenues on a regular basis, and at that point, it's monthly now. That they maintain their books and records accurately, and also pay up for 2 audits per year, and that they obtain a certificate of occupancy for their business within 1 year of the effective date of the agreement. In exchange for these provisions, we basically lock in all of the requirements and laws in place at the time the development agreement is approved. And the purpose of this all, and to obtain the monies for the general fund, is also to ensure that the developments are complete and open within 1 year of the development agreement becoming effective, and that is so that they can start generating revenue. It's to provide a long-term source of employment opportunities. It's to provide the city directly with additional revenue. It's to provide additional monies for our general fund through contractual payments, as well as sales tax revenues that come in. And it's also to provide certain community benefits, which is typically the 1% of their gross revenues on top of the 5%. However, the development agreements also include remedies that should an applicant default, the city can, as a result, terminate the development agreement and their conditional use permit. They can also, as a council, modify it or exercise a similar remedy. So as I mentioned last time around, we had 7 dispensaries that we were looking at. Channel Bay, DBO, or From the Earth as we know them, Emerald Perspective, Harbor Management, which is also known as Safeport, Wainimi Patient Care Collective, or HPC, Port Retail, which is known as Tree Factory now, and Westside Management, also known as Wheelhouse. You see a couple of those exits have been highlighted, and that's because last time around, From the Earth was found to be not in compliance. We had a discussion about this, but they have since made all of their payments with the exception of the interest that's due to the city for their late payments. So that's why they're in substantial compliance, but not in full compliance. And then Wheelhouse also had to provide an audit document as well as pay for their annual development review fee. They were, last time around, they were in substantial compliance. They have since come through with the payments, and so they are now in complete compliance, which I'm happy to report. It's always good to have that. So at this point, we're not going to dwell on the folks that are, or the businesses that are in complete compliance, or at this point even in substantial compliance, because once we get that payment from the Earth, like I said, they will be in complete compliance. But we do have 2 businesses that are still out of compliance, and we've discussed those before, but I did want to quickly reiterate why they are out of compliance and what the options for the city council are this evening. So the first one is HPC. And that is, the reason why they're out of compliance is that they have not paid for their 5% payments to the general fund for April, May, June, and July of last year. They also were substantially late in a couple of the other payments. They have since been making payments on time, but they still are in the arrears for these 4 months. The terms and conditions of their development agreement, again, require the payment of the 5% on a monthly basis. And again, the purpose of this is to enhance our general fund. So without those monies, the city is negatively impacted. We also have terms and conditions, again, in the development agreement that require that they provide an annual audited financial statement, which has not been provided at this point. So as I mentioned, the developers indicated that they have not been able to provide the city its funding due to having spent the funds elsewhere. And so that is a concern, of course, again, for 2 reasons. First, the monies were spent outside of the city on a different facility. And second is that, again, the developers should be basically setting aside the 5% payment plus the 1% payments for the charitable organizations with each sale. So there shouldn't be a lack of funding there. Each sale should generate that, and it should be set aside in an account and paid to the city. So it's kind of like, you know, the Robin Hood situation where they're basically robbing from one situation or one pot of money to pay off another pot, basically. So it is a concern for us. The developers have requested a payment plan, which is consisted of $10,000 per month. This initially, the city did not support that. They have since come back, the developers, and made several payments of now $22,000 and change. So they are getting closer to bringing themselves up to current. However, again, the city has not actually officially approved such payment plan. It's not really staff's purview to do so. It's your purview to do so. And so therefore, per the terms and conditions of the development agreement, especially condition number 22 is defaults and remedies. And that is the developer shall be in default if they are basically experiencing one or more event or condition. And then as finding and determination by the city council made following a periodic review, that upon basis of the evidence that I've provided to you this evening, as well as in the staff report dated December 5th, that the developer has not complied in good faith with the material requirement of the development agreement. Which is also a violation of the CUP, the conditional use permit. So staff recommends one of 3 options here. You may, of course, come up with a different option yourself. But that would be 1, to demand full payment from the developer by a certain date, i.e. 30 days from this evening. Allow a one-time, in other words, allow this to only happen once, in the lifetime of the business, have a payment plan with fixed terms and conditions. And this would be based on the unaudited gross receipts. Like I said, we don't have the audited document right now. And then upon completion of a financial audit, there'll be a true-up adjustment. And if there are additional revenues owed to the city, the amount of the revenues would be due within 30 days of completion of that audit. We're talking to HDL right now, getting the audits prepped and whatnot. So they are anticipating, based on their workload, if we started an audit today, it probably won't be finished for about 9 months. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then finally, the third option would be to revoke the development agreement subject to the procedures set forth in the development agreement and our requirements and procedures. Staff recommends that option number 1 be the one that the council takes action on, which would be to demand full payment within 30 days. Similarly, we have another business, says Caseo Verde. Again, this is Channel Bay. They are also in default because they've not made their payments, nor have they made the the audited document again. This business is actually no longer in existence. It shut down a few months ago. It is owned or was owned by the parent company DBO, which is again the parent company of From the Earth. So while we do have From the Earth pretty much close to full compliance, we still have a problem here with Channel Bay. And so again, the same basic requirements, I won't read them again, but why they're in default, and the same options for the city council. And again, staff recommends that item or option 1, which is demanding full payment within 30 days, be done, especially since this business is no longer actually functional, but that doesn't get them off the hook for complying with the development agreement requirements. So the project is exempt from CEQA per section 15309, which is basically limited to inspections to check for the performance of an operation of a project. As I mentioned previously, and I'll do it again, the fiscal impact besides the non-payment by these two businesses is that we do have an annual review fee of $1,680, which pays for basically my time and Lupe's time to cover our costs. But at this point, fortunately, all of our businesses, including the two defunct ones, have paid for the $1,680 fee. But we are still short approximately $200,000 from those two businesses that I just discussed. And so I'm not going to necessarily read the entire recommendation unless you want me to, Mayor. I don't know if you want to do it later. But basically it will be to open the public hearing, close it after taking evidence, adopt the resolutions, the 3 categories of resolutions there, make a determination that the project is exempt from CEQA, and then take additional related action as you may desire. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm again available for any questions you may have, and I believe there may be public comment as well with this.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Does the council have any questions for staff right now at this moment?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stewart, for the presentation. I do want to look forward. I don't want to go too far back, but I'm trying to understand how, what's the process? Do we have a process in place so that at the close of each month, the dispensary reports their gross sales and issues a check? And if we don't have that process, are we going to insist on that process? Because we're collecting April, May, June, and July. And so sitting up here, I'm wondering, what about August, September, October, November? Now, here we are, we just closed out January. So it seems to me it'd be pretty simple. You run your daily totals. We all do this with our work and different activities we do. And at the end of the month, you say, boom, 5% of X is this amount for the check. So I'm trying to understand how we got to where we are, and are we moving forward? Will we have a process that's worked at the close of each month?
We do have a process now. Finance collects payments on a monthly basis. The developers or the business owners basically either come in and pay in cash, or now often they send a check. We have a form that they fill out, and it tells us exactly what we're collecting and why, what taxes have been taken out of, and basically what they owe us. So we do have that each month. We also have a requirement for the 1% payment also. Now, if they are late, they are subject to a 10% penalty. And then if they do become in the arrears, as HPC has, for instance, again, what we're doing here this evening with the annual development agreement review is when we bring that all to light, basically. Now, that doesn't mean that we just ignore it. Finance in the background has been, and myself have been meeting with HPC for months now, trying to get these payments made. They are fortunately only in the arrears for the 4 months I mentioned, so that the later payments through the end of the year have been made at this point, which is why it's only the 4 payments at this point. But again, we do have the process in place, and we do try to work with the developers to make sure that the payments are made. Another good example, for instance, is DBO or From the Earth, where when we discussed this last time, they were they were in the arrears as well, but they've since, again, outside of this tonight's process, have made their payments. And so we were able to, again, work with them outside of this forum here to get those payments made through, again, our process.
So being that we just closed January, those activities are going with each and every entity. And so by 2 weeks from now, you could report to us for the month of January, we got everybody taken care of?
Yeah, I believe actually we give them till the end of, basically at the end of February, we should be able to report that January payments
Okay.
were made.
And then, so in the future, then, we won't see a situation where because I'm still confused that HPC owes for April, May, June, and July, but what about August, September?
Again, those have been paid,
Okay,
but they are still in the arrears, and that's why they're making the $22,000 payments. They're trying to get caught up for those 4 months that they're still in the arrears.
silly question, but are they caught up for December?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right, thank you.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stewart, for your presentation. I also had a question on HPC. I think earlier in your slides, you made a recommendation on how that particular client or dispensary should be handled. Did you have a recommendation specifically for HPC on it?
Yeah,
Could
for
you
both
repeat
of
that,
them,
please?
yes, for both of them, it was item or choice number 1, which is to demand full payment within 30 days.
Thank you.
All right, so the public hearing is now open for the public's input at 7:01 PM. Are there any public comments regarding this item?
I believe there is one public comment. I was seeing if she was raising her hand, but I have the comment here. Give me 1 second. Dear Mayor, City Council, and City Staff, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City Staff, and the community, we wish to thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. We've been honored to have served the Port Hueneme community over the last 5 years, and we look forward to many more years in the city. As mentioned in the December 5th, 2022 staff report, the late payments began in 2022, and I wanted to highlight that this is the first time we've fallen in arrears. Beginning in October of last year, we have been working with city staff to rectify the issue by making payments against the past due balance while also staying timely with our current liabilities. At that time, we believed we had an arrangement with the city, and as of today's date, we have honored that agreement by making those payments and paying our current liabilities on time. We wish to correct one item in the staff report from the December 5th, 2022 meeting regarding the Oxnard facility. While we were hoping to open our shop there last year, we have not and have instead made our outstanding liability with the city of Port Hueneme our priority. We humbly request that you consider our recent payments as evidence that we intend to honor the payment plan in your deliberations as you decide this matter. HPC is committed to the community of Port Hueneme and hope that you agree, as evidenced by our commitment to the existing payment plan, of our intention and ability to remedy the deficiency and request that you accept the one-time payment plan to allow us to continue serving the city of Port Hueneme. We thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Sincerely, Beth Thuna, HPC. That concludes the public comments.
All right. The public input has concluded unless anybody in the public would wish to speak. So I will now close the public hearing, the time being 7:04 PM. We have before us a couple of recommendations. Would council like to comment? Yes.
One question, Mr. Stewart. The 22,000 a month that they're paying now, is that, does any of that apply to the arrears, the 4 months?
It's all for the arrears basically at this point,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, they're making their monthly payments from fall through December now on time and then paying an additional 22,000 and change to come clear with the amount that's in the arrears.
Great. And how long would it take them to pay off what they owe in arrears by
I'm-
paying the extra?
I'm not exactly positive, but I'm thinking it's going to take at least until the end of this fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more questions? A question?
Mr. Stewart, does any one of your three recommendations align with which HPC is asking for?
Let me back up here. Let's see. Just past it. So yes, option number 2, which is to allow a one-time payment plan with fixed terms and conditions that the city would set. Basically, we'd employ Lupe as well as our city attorney to come up with those conditions, would align essentially with what HPC is asking for at this point.
Then one further question, do we have to, can we go with one of your recommendations for dispensary A and then a different recommendation for dispensary B, or do we do it in one action?
I'm probably going to defer to Kevin, but I would think that you could do that in separate actions. Again, we're giving you the options for each of these businesses.
I would caution council from taking a one-to-one approach to avoid any argument that the action taken is arbitrary, capricious, or otherwise somehow not the same across the board. I think that's a dangerous precedent.
Okay.
Any more questions? All right, so we have before us a recommendation to adopt resolutions determining that the following cannabis dispensaries are in complete compliance with their respective development agreements: Emerald Perspective, Harbor Management Group, LLC, and Port Retail, LLC. And number 2, adopt resolutions determining that the following cannabis dispensaries are in substantial compliance with their respective development agreements: Westside Management Group, LLC, and DBO Investments, PH, LLC. And number 3, adopt resolutions determining that the following cannabis dispensaries are out of compliance with their respective development agreements: Casel Verde, LLC, and Wainimi Patient Consumer. And number 4, make a determination the project is exempt under CEQA. And number 5, take such additional related action that may be desirable, including determining which course of action to take regarding the 3 businesses who are out of compliance with their respective development agreements, per the options noted in the staff reports dated December 5th, 2022 and February 6th, 2023. May I have a motion and a second?
If I may, real quick, make a correction. I'm not sure how the one with regard to substantial compliance, but I just want to make sure that you all are aware, and the resolution actually does reflect that West Side is actually in complete compliance. So it's only DBO or From the Earth that is in substantial compliance. And at this point also, we're only looking at 2 that are out of compliance and not 3 any longer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stewart. May I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve recommendation number 2.
I'll second. Okay, may we take a vote?
Okay, and just to confirm, the recommendation number 2 was Tony's revised, what he said?
The one-time payment plan?
Okay.
Are we taking these all together or just separately?
One for all.
Okay. What I thought. Okay.
Yeah, it's for all with that, correct?
Okay.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Perez,
Yes.
Mayor Martinez.
Yes.
Councilmember Gama,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember McQueen Lejean.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you.
We're now going to move on to number 9, adopt resolution granting special use permit number 1-23 for the City of Port Huenemi's 75th anniversary event. Madam Clerk, do you have proof of publication as required by law?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a complete file of reports and exhibits?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Will staff please present the report?
Yes, and good evening. Good evening again. My presentation is going to be very short here, and then I'm going to hand it off to Maya, who will actually wow you with the plan. So I'm just doing the semantics here. So the applicant, which is Reach at this point, is proposing to hold a public event and parade known as the City of Port Huenemi's 75th anniversary, and to celebrate our 75th anniversary of our incorporation date. It'll be on March 25th from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. with the and that would be the parade, and the festival from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the event will include a car show, a DJ booth, food trucks. The main stage will be a pop-up museum and other assorted vendors and whatnot. And the event will comply with all COVID restrictions in place if there are any at the time. We do require an SUP or a special use permit for this because the event is being proposed as a large-scale event at Hueneme Beach Park. And it is considered exempt under CEQA because it's a minor temporary use of the land. And so I'm just going to skim through these real quick because I know Maya is going to talk a little bit more about the layout here. And that shows the parade route basically along Surfside. And as far as the fiscal impact, there will be one. This is the city's, well, basically it's a Reach-sponsored event, but it's in partnership with the city. The beach parking revenues will not be collected on this day for lots B, C, and E, or along Surfside and Ocean View Drive. And the general fund will be covering the costs for city staffing of the event and any miscellaneous costs that accrued. And so at this point, like I said, my presentation is short, and I'm going to turn it over to Maya, who's going to give us a much more detailed presentation. And
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, staff, community members. I'm excited to present to you the details of the City of Port Hueneme's 75th anniversary celebration. So I won't go over all that because they just did. So this is a flyer, so you can view that. The executive team is made up of myself as the festival manager. Sponsorships is Marty Lieberman. Marketing is Cyril Creative. Site manager is Patrick Pothier. And then we have oversight from the city. And I did leave out and apologize, Commander Albertson, who's going to oversee the traffic control. The details have gone over. We hope to see 1,500 to 3,000 people come to this event. Again, admission is free and parking is free. Street closures are going to be Ocean View Drive, and parking lot closures B, C, and E will begin Saturday, March 25th at 6:30 a.m. Parking lot B, the stage will be set up on March 24th and tear down on March 26th. Amplified music is scheduled from 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and security will be provided by professional security and Port Hueneme Police Department. An event will be advertised on the city's website, cityofporthueneme.org/75. Again, it'll be kicked off by a parade, followed by a street fair with vendors, food trucks, car shows, pop-up museum, live entertainment, kid zone, and a beer garden. The parade will be from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., the 7:30 check-in, 8:45 lineup. There'll be check-in and staging on Market Street. The parade route will be Surfside Drive from Market Street to Ocean View Drive. Parade judges, we've invited Mayor Martinez, Commissioner Jess Herrera, and a representative from the Naval Base. The captain will be out of town, so unfortunately, he won't be able to represent the Navy, but we're looking for an alternative. We've asked Selena Zacharias to be the MC of the parade and the event. Our goal for entries is a minimum of 50 entries for the parade. We've selected co-grand marshals Orvine Carpenter and Tony Volante. Parade street closures, again, is Market Street, and then Surfside Drive will be closed from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and then that will be opened up. So vendors and sponsors, we have about 62 10 by 10 spaces. The car show entries, we have a room for 124 entries. We'll have about 9 food trucks, and 3 of those will be dessert trucks. We hope to have 6 to 10 attractions in the kids zone, and 3 to 4 live performances and the pop-up museum. So here's a map that will be advertised. And then this is a more detailed map. So the car show will be located in parking lot C, also on Ocean View Drive. Car show entries can also enter into the parade. So those who do enter into the parade will be slotted for Ocean View Drive. And then we have vendors on the opposite side and room for sponsors, the beer garden, and live entertainment, as you can see there, and the kids zone on the other side. So this event is needing volunteers, so we are taking applications for volunteers, and we'll need lots of them to help make this event possible. And these applications are found again on the website, so encourage anybody who wants to volunteer. If you know anybody, spread the word, because we are going to need volunteers. We are taking applications now for parade entries, car show entries, food trucks, nonprofit vendors, arts and crafts, retail. My information is there if anybody has any questions. Again, all these applications can be downloaded on the city's website. And I do want to mention a kickoff event to the 75th celebration that's not on here because it's tentative pending the U.S. Postal Service's approval. But we have applied for a pictorial postmark. We have the graphics already, so we have applied with the post office, and we're hoping that they can come out on March 24th, our actual anniversary, and have a pop-up in front of City Hall where people can come and get their letters postage with the pictorial postmark. So we hope that that will go through, and I want to give a special thanks to Juliet Rod, who's been spearheading this and volunteering her time to make this happen, and she's doing an amazing job. So we hope that that will be the kickoff event on March 24th. And we've also asked the post office if Orvine Carpenter can do the first stamp, since he used to be a postmaster here. So that's all the information I have. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. So we've been communicating back and forth, but just for the benefit of the audience, I believe the parade entries are limited to 30, or you expect?
No,
about
we would
30?
like a minimum of 50.
A minimum
We
of
would
50.
like a minimum of 50,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, great. And then the entertainment, I noticed there's no application for entertainment. How's that being addressed or handled?
So I'm looking for entertainment. We do have a headliner for this event, which is the Twisted Gypsies, which was a crowd favorite at the Wainini Beach Festival. I'm also looking for other cultural performances, not just bands. So right now I'm looking.
Okay. I really like the way this is moving along. You're doing a terrific job. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. And I appreciate the council's members who have reached out. It's really going to take all of us to get the word out. We have some marketing going on the city's website and social media. But, you know, just inviting people to the event and to be vendors and be in the parade, making those contacts is really helpful, and I appreciate those who've helped.
I just like, yeah, I've been really encouraging on social media for our Wainimi residents to take this opportunity to become a vendor. There's so much talent in our city. We have photographers, we have crafters, we have artists, and you know, this is an opportunity for them to show their wares, to sell their wares, and keep the money here locally.
Yeah.
I really would like to see this event have a flavor of Wainimi.
And I'm definitely giving that opportunity to our local businesses first and reaching out to them personally. Anybody can apply, but I'm definitely reaching out to our businesses here locally.
Yeah, thank you. That personal touch it makes a huge difference, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Councilmember Gama?
Yes, I just wanted to know if we have outreach to Oxnard Union High School District. And I would strongly encourage that we do that to see if we could get participation from each high school. Hopefully, I think that would be really nice. And I know like the Wainimi High School band is in a rebuilding mode. But anyways, and I know there's a council member Lejean's husband is a big time musician, and so anyways, I just hope that we could reach out to the Oxnard Union High School District and try and get maximum participation from the young people that want to show off whatever talents they have. So.
Yes. I have reached out to Wainimi High School, their band, and then the Wainimi Unified School District will have an entry as well. And I really can use everybody's help to spread the word. So if you want to make a connection, please feel free to do so and help out there.
Mayor Pro Tem?
How is your connection going with the car clubs?
The information just really got out, was revised and on the website today. But I have been posting a lot in the car club groups on Facebook and talk to some of the local car clubs as well. So I have a few of them helping me to spread the word.
Oh, good, great. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember McQueen, Lejean, do you have any questions? Okay. For volunteers, who do they contact? They'd contact you?
Yeah, so the application is online on the city's website, and my information is on the form, so they can turn that into me.
Okay. Would
We
you be
currently have one volunteer, so I'm grateful for that.
would you be okay with me making out a video and letting people know?
Absolutely. We need all the help that we can get to spread the word, so in any way that you choose to do that would help.
Okay. Have you reached out to Inlet Tech for the mariachi? Maybe they might want to perform.
No, I have not, but I will.
I can help with that.
Yeah,
too.
please.
All right.
I have one more question. What would be your preferred role for city council members? To participate in the parade?
Yeah,
enter
well,
a
I definitely would
car,
like to
or-
see you guys all on a float.
What's that?
I would definitely like to see you guys all on a float.
Okay, well, I guess, and the city is putting in a float. Would we be asked to do our own float, or do you know?
I will work out the details with our city manager on that one. Yes, but Parks and Recs is going to have their own float, and I believe Public Works is going to have their own float.
All right.
Can you remind us the date?
March 25th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The parade will be 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and then the street fair will be 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay.
Well, a float, that would be interesting. I think I could gather up the back of a truck, but I don't know about
Perhaps
building a
Ventura County
float.
Fire will
Yeah, right.
parade you around.
Or a Bearcat, how about a Bearcat?
Well, we have invited Ventura County Fire to participate. Assembly Member Bennett, as well as Supervisor Vianney Lopez has already confirmed. And I have a meeting with Monique Limon's office as well. So our dignitaries are excited and will be here to support us as well.
One more thing that I have asked Beverly Kelly to do, because she's our resident historian. similar to what the county's doing, because the county, also the county's 150th anniversary. They've been putting out old photos in recognition of their anniversary, and I've asked Beverly if she would do the same for the city. So just to build some excitement around.
Yeah,
our
I've sent her the
anniversary.
logo.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Great. You're on it. Thank you.
Nice. If there's no more questions, the public hearing is now open for the public input at 7:24 p.m. Are there any public comments regarding this item?
There are no public comments.
Okay. So the public input has concluded. I will now close the public hearing, the time being 7:25 p.m. We have before us a recommendation to adopt a resolution approving a special use permit number 01-23 City of Port Hueneme 75th anniversary event, and number 2, take such additional related action that may be desirable. May I have a motion and a second?
Move to approve?
Second.
All right, I'm gonna invite some discussion on the motion. Is there any discussion that anybody would like to take?
I'm sending a text to Superintendent McCoy right now at Oxnard Union High School District, just to let him know that, hey, we would love to have participation from all the high school youth clubs, activities, whatever they could come up with, so.
Any more comments? All right, let's take a roll call. Madam Clerk?
Mayor Pro Tem Perez,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Gama,
Yes.
Councilmember McQueen Lejeune,
Yes.
and Mayor Martinez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. We're gonna move on to business items. Number 10, Ad hoc Museum Governance Committee appointments. Will staff please present the report?
Honorable Mayor and council members, on September 19, 2022, City Council approved the creation of an ad hoc museum governance committee to be comprised of all participants of the Museum Visioning Charrette, which was held in July 2022. The purpose of the committee is to put into action a prioritized list of short-term goals that was created to reopen the museum. The participants included Becky Bruning, Anna Hanley, Beverly Kelly, Adela Lua, Charles Peretz, Juliet Rodriguez, Rich Rollins, Galen Vick, and Pamela Jo Waddell. While the City Council did not include a requirement that a member of council be appointed to the committee, former Mayor Rich Rollins was one of the participants, and Councilmember Gama was designated as his alternate. Mr. Rollins has expressed continued interest in serving on the committee, so City Council may consider the following options. Take no action, and the current members would remain the same, leaving Rich Rollins as member and Councilmember Gama as his alternate. Appoint a member of council, which would add an additional member to the committee, including current member Rich Rollins and Councilmember Gama as his alternate. Appoint a member of council, remove Rich Rollins as a member to maintain the current number of members, and keep or amend the alternate position, or other action as council deems appropriate. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Okay.
Is
questions?
Miss Hanley here to talk or answer questions, or are you going to be representing?
I or Charles, if there are any questions.
Okay. I don't have any questions. I just was wondering.
Okay.
Thank you.
Question?
Okay, make a comment.
All right, let's wait. Anybody have questions? All right, are there any public comments regarding this item?
There are no public comments.
Okay, the recommendation is for the city council to discuss and consider appointments to the Ad hoc Museum Governance Committee. May I have a motion in a second, and then afterwards we'll discuss the motions and have comments.
I'd like to make a motion to revise the membership of the committee and include on the committee Councilwoman Martha McQueen Lejeune. Has Rollins' replacement, and then let Rollins either serve as an alternate or move to become a citizen representative, since he's now a citizen.
I'll second that.
I think it's important to have two council members involved, and I think it's a great appointment. We'll have both sides of the city represented, and
May we take a vote, and then we'll entertain another motion?
do we have a second on
Yeah.
the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, just to clarify, did you want Rollins as an alternate or a citizen?
Councilmember Hernandez, motion for Ms. McQueen Lejeune to be the council member and Rollins the alternate.
And Rollins,
No,
Yeah,
that's not it.
It was, Rollins would be a citizen.
a citizen
Representative, but he could be the alternate. I was going to suggest somebody else for the alternate.
I understood the motion to be that I continue on in either alternate or the appointee.
That
and-
was going to be another motion.
And then that we add Martha in Rollins' place, and Rollins continues on as a citizen.
Okay, can you repeat your motion?
My motion was to nominate Martha as the primary, and to move Rollins into the citizen representative position, which would mean either having two citizen reps or him replacing Galen Vick. As far as an alternate, I would recommend another council member serve as alternate other than Stephen Gama,
I,
based on requests that I've received from committee members.
yeah.
Well, let's vote on it and we'll
Okay, so that motion
Wait,
was not the one I seconded, so it was presented differently.
So the motion I originally made was to appoint,
And leaving Gama as alternate, having.
no, I wasn't going to leave
Well, that was my
Gama as
understanding,
alternate.
So I
no.
will remove my second.
Okay.
All right, can we have a motion? Do we have another motion?
Oh, I mean, I need a second
You didn't
to,
get one.
excuse me, I need a second to recommend Martha McQueen Lejeune as primary and to move Rich Rollins into the citizen representative position.
Mayor Pro Tem, you have a motion?
Motion to move Ms. McQueen Lejeune as the primary, move Rich Rollins to the citizen, and leaves Mr. Gama as the alternate.
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna just do a roll call. So Mayor,
Can we have a discussion on that?
sure.
After the vote.
No,
Mm-mm.
before.
Oh,
the-
No, yeah.
You can
So,
no,
have
you
a
know-
discussion, you have a motion. and a
Yeah, I'm
second.
sorry, I meant to say, does anybody have any more motions?
I think 4 of the council members received email today from one of the committee members explaining my position on why I don't feel Councilman Gama is trustworthy enough to serve on the committee. I also think that Rich Rollins has done has served his time on city council, should be considered a representative on the citizens. I also, as a citizen, but I also want to refer us back to the recommendations of staff, which originally said that they don't see the need for council involvement at all. So to add 2 council reps on the membership of this committee goes against what staff has been asking for, and just to disregard staff's wishes.
I would completely disagree with Councilmember Hernandez's description of me as being untrustworthy.
That wasn't my description, that was this
Okay,
member
here-
of the committee.
Okay, so if you want to give a name, we can maybe have a discussion. So
need a
basically,
name.
it's hearsay. And so I am the only council member that is a registered volunteer with the museum. I have spent hundreds of hours supporting the museum. In fact, I cut the grass for almost 3 years every Saturday before Wainini Beach cleanup. I'm out there very often pulling weeds and trying to keep it looking presentable. So I think the council's role is very important moving forward, and we have a motion and a second, and I'm ready to vote.
Any more comments, discussion? I just want to add that I've walked past the museum a couple times and I've actually seen Councilmember Gama cleaning it up, pulling weeds.
Yeah, that's all well and fine, but I think the skill set that's this committee is looking for is something beyond the kinds of duties that Mr. Gama was performing for the museum, and his actions did violate the trust of the committee, and I'm just speaking on behalf of several committee members who've approached me and discussed this with me, and all of you received a copy of the email from one of the committee members, so.
I have a comment. So in an effort to put forth a good positive counsel this coming year and not dwelling on the past is why I recommended Mr. Gama stay the alternate. And I will stand by my motion. I think we need to put forth positive in this council and act like a team. And so that's what my motion was for.
May we have a vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Perez,
Yes.
Councilmember Gama,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes,
Councilmember McQueen Lejeune
Yes.
and Mayor Martinez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
follow the rules.
Okay, so we pulled item number 11. We're gonna move on to number 12, city manager recruitment update. Will staff please present the report? Yeah, Nick. Nick Jones.
The council would indulge me for just one moment, please. Mayor and council, I apologize. We were going to have a brief staff presentation and a consultant give an overview of the current status of the city manager recruitment process. It looks like at this time, those individuals are not online, so we're not able to provide that presentation at this time. If we notice that the individuals come online during the course of the meeting, we'll bring it to your attention and ask if it's okay to take that item out of order.
Kevin, do we need a vote? To move on? Okay. Sounds good. We're gonna move on to city manager comments and reports.
There are no city manager reports or comments.
Okay. Council member reports and comments. I will start with council member McQueen Lejeune.
Can I start with a comment? You read the proclamation earlier, and I'd love to have an opportunity to say a few words after that.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so as an African American, I appreciate the month of February is set aside for Black History Month. But I encourage everyone to look beyond February. It takes more than 1 month a year to truly honor the contribution African Americans have made to our nation. So yes, February is Black History Month. And because it is Black History Month, I challenge everyone to take the time this month to broaden your knowledge, your understanding, breadth, and depth of the contributions African Americans have made to this country. So if you haven't already started your research this month, begin today. Then continue through March, April, May, and keep going. It's absolutely imperative as a nation that we know where we've come from so we don't find ourselves there. And I did want to just communicate out that I have been in communication with my leaders of my appointed committees. And so learning an awful lot. I'll be meeting with, again, with BCTC tomorrow, and then with RD21 on Thursday. And so looking forward to actually starting to attend the meeting next week. Should I be looking forward to it? Sure. Yes, and then I wanted to just talk a little bit about the Cal City new mayors and council member conference. I've learned an awful lot. It was invaluable, the 3 days, three full days. And I think it was well worth the time. And I would encourage the council members, even if you've gone before, to try to take a refresher. I think that the information is important enough to have it more than once. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gama?
Yes,
comments and reports?
yeah, I'm so excited for Martha Lejeune to be on the Air Pollution Control Board. On December 22nd, the Air Pollution Control Board shut down our dredging operation for 27 days. And they did so because they said we were out of air pollution credits. And ironically, during the shutdown, and so we're in a situation where we had funding on the table and we couldn't use it because of the air pollution credits. So then we started to try to understand this complicated program, and it's super complicated. There's all kinds of rules and this and that. And we had staffed with VNA Supervisor Lopez, Beacon, the air pollution control people, and we were able to get the project back on track with credits that were found somewhere, I think. I don't know, but it's definitely something that we as a council, and I'm going to be asking that we, for an agenda item where we pursue the status for the public good. A case could be made very easily that dredging is for the public good and that we would no longer be required to expense for air pollution credits. Ironically, during the shutdown, the rains came. And so the rains deposited all kinds of wood on the beach. And so the amount of emissions were very much more so than if we would have been able to keep going before the rains came, because now the dredge is sucking up all these logs and trees, and it takes more fuel, it causes more pollution. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's going to take a lot of brain power, and I know Martha's got it. So we need to get in and understand this air pollution credits, and so that we don't ever are faced with this situation again. Beacon has been very supportive and helpful with the whole process, and I'm happy to report that the last Beacon meeting I was appointed to the executive committee, for which I'm very excited about. Hueneme Beach cleanup is proceeding greatly. We have great participation. We have partnerships with Surfrider and Coastal Keepers. 2 weeks ago, we filled up 6 dumpsters, and we do this in collaboration with the 3 groups, my group and Surfrider and Coastal Keepers. And then we attack Ormond Lagoon from all sides, and then the city of Oxnard contributes to the costs that we incur in cleaning up Oxnard's beach. So it's a real great environmental collaborative effort, and we want to continue to do so. Yesterday, I was able to briefly attend the Air Guard band of the West Coast at the Ocean View Pavilion. It was quite amazing. It was they always come with a theme, and this year's theme was Hollywood and its relationship with the Air Force. And so it was very well attended and just a beautiful show. And then on Saturday, I had the pleasure to work with Chef Martinez. We helped the Hueneme High School varsity baseball team have a fundraising event with an alumni baseball game, and we worked in the snack bar, and we worked really hard, and we made a lot of people happy. And so I appreciate Mayor Martinez's help on that. And I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gama. Councilmember Hernandez?
Thank you, Mayor Martinez. I'm proceeding with attendance at my meetings. We have a Channel Islands Site Authority meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. SCAG meeting, they hit the ground running January. For those of us who are on SCAG, we're going to be busy this year with Transportation Committee, Regional Policy Committee, the New Infrastructure Committee, Transparency, and forget the rest of the committee's name, but I'm all sitting on like 4 different SCAG committees, and I know Councilwoman Perez is also busy with SCAG meetings, but they're all good committees that teach us about best practices happening in other parts of the region. I would encourage council members to go to their SCAG website, and if you're interested in housing, economic development, transportation, you can find best practices and really good data on their website. So I'll try to be more specific next time in terms of discussions that produced valuable information that I think could be helpful here, but I just don't have that in front of me now. The RSD is moving along fine. I decided not to take the chairman position, and instead I recommended Kevin Kildee from Camarillo, and I'm serving now as vice chair. I did attend a meeting as alternate for Councilwoman McQueen Lejeune, Gold Coast Transportation Commission. I think we're off to a good start, working as primary and alternate. I'd like to say the same for Beacon, because unfortunately I was not invited to that Beacon meeting, and I think I should have been. So hopefully we can proceed to work together, because you organized that meeting and I wasn't invited. So glad you got all the credit. So what you wanted, you got it.
So I forgot one thing. Last week, we dedicated I'm on the Animal Services Commission, and we dedicated a bench in honor of Carmen Ramirez, and it was really, really cool. And the night before, I lost my puppy and my dog, and then this cat showed up with green eyes. It's a beautiful cat, and it just reminded me of Carmen. And we served on the Animal Commission together, and the cat's over there waiting to be adopted because it was abandoned, and it showed up into my garage. And so if any of you are looking for a green-eyed cat, it's over there waiting to be adopted. I think it became available today to be adopted out. So yes, they dedicated a very nice bench in memory of Carmen Ramirez and her love for animals and her love for serving on the Animal Services Commission. So I apologize for forgetting that.
Mayor Pro Tem Perez?
Thank you. I don't have any reports, but I'll just give a brief overview of the committees that I do sit on. City Port Standing Committee, we have not had a meeting for that yet. Economic Development Collaborative, I'm on the board, and on the executive meeting for that. And I'm hoping to be able to learn ways to implement economic growth in our community, as that was the main reason why I chose that. And the SCAG committee I'm on is the Community Economic and Human Development Committee, and it's hit or miss as to what things I can get useful for Hueneme, because we're very unique compared to every other city that I hear about in terms of housing and pretty much every other thing that we deal with. Our problems don't always fit with the majority of the people who are talking, and I find meetings, some of them apply and most of them do not, unfortunately. But I stick around hoping it'll catch something. The volunteer opportunity idea was this weekend. The Lions Club of Ventura puts on the Ventura County All-Star football game for all of the youth in the county, and it was my first time being there. We get all the food, we do all the awards, and we put on the whole thing, and such a great way to invest in the youth and community. And it was great to see people out there and all the youth who made All-Star this year fight the chance for the win, whatever prizes they won. It was a great game. I didn't get to see it all, but it was a fun game. We had one bench clearing brawl, but it was a good game. That's all.
Okay. All right, so I don't think I'm going to mention all the meetings I've had, but I feel like I've been doing more meetings on the weekends than the weekdays. I do want to mention that I did have 2 sporting events this past month. Had the basketball 3-point contest, which I think was really successful. We had about 15 contestants and maybe like more than 15 people just watching, which was really nice. So it actually got really exciting. I had the soccer shootout challenge at Bubbling Springs Park, which was really nice too. And so they want me to do these events every single weekend, but I can't. It's too much work. But what I really want to talk to you guys about is the sister city, because the last time we met 3 weeks ago, I mentioned that I was gonna go to the executive retreat in Santa Barbara, and I learned a lot. And then from me going over there, they told me that they were gonna go to Puerto Vallarta, and they asked that I should go. And then after that, I ended up actually paying my fees to become part of the Santa Barbara sister city. And then after, like, it just, everything started escalating really, really fast. And I wanted to go to Puerto Vallarta, and I tried to get it agendized on this meeting, but since we didn't approve it at the previous city meeting, it wasn't on today's agenda. But hopefully we can put it on the next agenda. And what I want to tell you guys is that I was contacted by the secretary of the sister cities in Puerto Vallarta, and I was told that they didn't, I guess they didn't end up telling anybody, but they already signed their document saying that we're a sister city right now with Puerto Vallarta. And I thought that was really interesting because I didn't realize that Sylvia Snop had tried to go with Puerto Vallarta. You know, I just thought it just happened to be that I was aiming for that city, and so was she. And so I ended up talking to Councilmember Hernandez. I filled her in about everything that was going on. She gave me Sylvia's number. I talked to Sylvia, and she told me the whole scope. I guess it started back in like 2018, and before that they were trying to get Ensenada, but they didn't hear from Ensenada, and I guess they were having some problems. So Gil Garcia ended up suggesting that they go with Puerto Vallarta, and that there was no problem with us also being a sister city. And so yeah, I'm gonna go to Puerto Vallarta this week, and Gil had asked me to go and to learn a lot of the stuff that they do. And some of the things that they do is they fundraise here, and then they go over there and do good things with the money. They don't give them money, but they buy clothes or they buy equipment. And so I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of learning, and I'm going to ask for something to be agendized too. So regarding this trip, but I've been working super hard in the last 2 weeks on this, actually for the last 2 years, because I didn't really know much, but it all just flooded down. So I think that's about it on my comments. Any more comments?
I have a couple comments I wanted to make that I forgot. I'm really glad that Councilwoman Martha McQueen Lejeune had brought up the proclamation on Black History Month. I've been watching a documentary called The 1619 Project, and there's several episodes attached to it, or it's comprised of, and it really tells the history of Black America, slavery, how capitalism was built. And this is different from what we get taught in school. It's different from what we get taught in high school. And based on what I've learned so far, watching and listening to podcasts, I would totally rewrite this Black History Month. Well, maybe not totally, but I would really add something here to the effect of to the violence, the slavery, the current situation we are facing here in America now with redistricting and voter suppression, and how slavery has really followed us into our current day. And I really highly recommend it has an opportunity to learn more about Black Americans and the history, the horrible history that we've suffered and they've suffered. Any people of color have suffered, and it's a really good documentary. So I strongly encourage, if you want to get up to speed and learn more about it, 1619 Project, and you can find it on Hulu. The other thing I wanted to say is I think Mr. Connors is still on, and I know that this is his last council meeting, and I just want to thank him for his service. He was hired here to take on a huge job, to turn around a failing ship And he did that. He did turn things around and he made progress. And I just hope that the next city manager that comes on continues with his good work. And I just wanted to publicly and personally thank him for the service here to our city.
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez. We're gonna move on to requests for future agenda items. I'd like to remind council members that all requested items will require a motion, a second, and a majority vote per adopted council policies to be placed on future agenda. Does anybody have any requests for future agenda items?
Mayor Martinez, if I might, prior to council agenda requests, it appears we have the presenters for item number 12, if the council would like to take that out of order.
Yes. Okay, we will now move on to item number 12, city manager recruitment update. Will staff please present the report?
Good evening, Mayor Martinez, council members. So the recruitment consultant is trying to get in Zoom, so I'll present it. And then if needed, we have the attachment, but she wanted to log in in Zoom to give you guys a live one-on-one Q&A. So just an update. So I'm here to give a city manager recruitment update. Recommendation, it is that the city council review the city manager recruitment framework recommendations by Wendy Brown Consulting Professionals, Inc., and provide input and direction to the staff on the city manager recruitment. Background analysis. At its meeting on January 17, 2023, the City Council voted 3-2 to appoint Human Resources Risk Manager Dick Jones to directly oversee and manage the recruitment process for the city manager position. Council directed Mr. Jones to use a hybrid approach for recruiting process. A total budget amount not to exceed $25,000 was authorized. Mr. Jones reached out to the 3 executive search firms and requested a proposal for a hybrid approach recruitment process, with Mr. Jones being the lead recruiter. Wendy Brown Consulting Professionals agreed to a hybrid rate of $5,900. Bobber and Associates, based on prior recruitment history, refused to provide a discounted rate. And Ralph Tallis Group responded per email and chose not to pursue the position due to the ask of the discounted rate below the threshold of $25,000. The text exhibit A is the proposed Port Hueneme City Manager recruitment framework recommendations for Wendy Brown Consulting Professionals. It is recommended that the city council receive a presentation and give input and direction to the staff on city manager recruitment. The fiscal impact, Human Resources has the funds to complete the hybrid approach recruitment from the Human Resources budget line item. Primary strategic pillar, optimal levels of service for residents and businesses. Primary strategic initiative, we aspire to be employer choice. Promote operational excellence in all city functions and embody best practices as a municipality. So is she, okay, so now we'll leave it. If you guys have any questions for me, I can answer, but Wendy Brown is on, and she's the owner of Wendy Brown Consulting Professionals. Thank you.
All right, does council have any questions for the staff? No questions? All right. Are there any public comments regarding this item?
No public comments.
Okay. The recommendation is for city council to review the Port Hueneme City Manager Recruitment Framework recommendations by Wendy Brown Consulting Professionals, Inc., and provide input and direction to staff on the city manager recruitment. Council may provide comments and discussion at this time if so desired.
Good evening.
Is there a presentation?
Yes. Would you like me to share my screen?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay. It's just needs to be enabled. Okay. Well, thank you, council and staff. I appreciate the time that you've given me to talk with me prior to this evening, but also to share what the framework, and the framework is basically to talk about how we are going to be partnering with your human resources manager, Nick, to help you hire your next city manager, and worked with all of you to do a one-on-one. And through that process, I've been able to share some dates that we were hoping would work. And And through those communications, I've been able to put together a timeline and some key processes related to the stakeholder engagement, interview process, and then just how that'll all work, the framework of how that'll all work. And I have to apologize too. I'm not on my game this evening. I'm a little under the weather. So I just wanted to start off by saying that as well. So I'm here to kind of talk to you about the outline of the recruitment process. Before I get started though, I just want to find out if there's any questions about me, if you want to hear a little bit about our background at all, or if you just like to get into the details.
No,
Get into details.
yeah, details. Let's get.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So basically what I'd like to do is walk you through what I think I heard from that everybody's looking for as far as stakeholder engagement and everybody and all the things that we're going to be doing to do the outreach, the timeline, including what dates that means for you and your calendars for our shortlist meeting, and also interviews. Talk about the advertising campaign and strategy, and see if you have any questions around that. And then I'd like to hear just what you're looking for in the ideal candidate. Obviously, that was obviously discussions, and I have some details that I was able to pull together in a summary of those thoughts already. But if you wanted to share publicly what you're looking for the background and experience and the characteristics of the ideal candidate, we can go through that and then just open it up for any questions. So with that, stakeholder engagement is very important. So we are going to be putting together a community survey and an employee survey. And it says 2-2, but actually I'll be getting that to Nick tomorrow, the community survey and the employee survey. That's going to be a list of core competencies of about 40 competencies, and asking folks to pick their top 7, and also have an open text box for people to be able to respond to anything else they'd like to add to that. It should only take about 3 to 5 minutes for somebody to complete the survey. We find that it's very useful, and it's a fast and easy process for people to participate. Nick is going to work with the public information officer to send out a communications to Facebook, Instagram, and also forward to the city council for you to be able to send out to your constituents as well. So surveys is part of that. Virtual listening meetings, Nick is going to schedule time to facilitate that. That's going to be worked on over the next couple of weeks, and Nick's going to facilitate a virtual public meeting process. And that's going to be giving everybody who wants to have maybe a little bit more connection beyond a survey, or if they want to have a different way of communicating with the city, Nick will be able to facilitate that. That'll probably be in the evening hours in the next couple of weeks. And we're working on putting that together. So the people that there's going to be 2 separate meetings that Nick's also going to be putting together for the community at large residents. That's also going to make sure that he reaches out to HOAs, Little League, other community groups, including Seroptimus, citizen groups, clergy, other Asian as well as Latino or other ethnic organizations that might be interested in participating. There's bicycle groups. That's just an example of several other kinds of groups that Nick's going to pull together and work with everybody to be able to bring as many as he can to the invitation to that. And so the other group that he's going to be doing a listening tour with is going to be the kind of the stakeholder groups that are a little bit different than general groups and populations. So obviously the Port Authority, Naval Base, School Superintendent, Chamber of Commerce, business community at large. There may be a few other folks there that might be of interest and including in that. And those are people just have maybe a different lens or perspective on who we should be looking for in an ideal candidate. So in addition to talking with each of you and hearing from the community surveys, you'll also be able to gather information from those meetings as well. I typically find that most everybody's looking for the same ideal candidate, superhero that we're looking for. Certainly it's nice to see that when everybody's all looking for the same, but they are coming from unique lenses and definitely can give some additional insight as well as having those staff meetings with the department heads, which I've done as well. So I met with the department heads and facilitated that. And Nick is getting me contact information for your incoming police chief to do a one-on-one. As of the time that I did the department head meeting, your police chief had not been through his final onboarding process. And then also I'll be working with Nick in meeting with their unions, as well as reaching out to the county supervisor for your district. So that's the stakeholder engagement. I'll just pause for a minute because I know I've been talking for a long time. Is there any questions or concerns about the stakeholder engagement, or is there anything that I might have missed in our communications and talking with you? Okay,
No, I
not
think
seen.
it looks like you covered everyone.
Okay, great. All right. So also one of the things that we talked about in our meetings, the timeline, we talked about what that's going to look like. So for us to be able to, finalize the stakeholder engagement, it probably won't happen completely before we get a chance to open the recruitment, which we're hoping to do on February 16. I say on or about that date. Sometimes final edits to the recruitment announcement can push things out, but we certainly, it won't push out the interview dates. It'll just maybe extend the close date by a day or two. So on or about February 16th, we'll be opening it. If we continue to work with stakeholders beyond that date, we'll certainly be able to continue to influence Nick, as Nick will be the person who will be screening the candidates through the rest of the process. All those conversations will be able to influence that. But we don't want to lose any time, so it's a pretty aggressive timeline with us opening it up in mid-February. We do have a very robust advertising campaign. Once we roll it out, we include print, online advertising. We do our group, WBCP, will do all the headhunting. So we'll do the outreach, phone calls, email blasts, and then we're also LinkedIn recruiters, so we'll be reaching out to people. I've been recruiting in public sector for approximately 20 years, so I've also got a lot of contacts and have recruited for city managers in your region. So I do have a pretty good reach, and hopefully we'll be able to contact a lot of people and bring Nick a lot of great candidates. So Nick will have access to our applicant tracking system, which everybody will be applying through that. Nick will be reviewing the applicants as they're coming in, identifying people that he'll be wanting to conduct additional phone screens with, and then moving those forward to what we call a shortlist meeting in a closed session with council. And that's going to happen on the 30th of March. And based on everybody's calendars that I talked to, it looks like a 3 to 5 o'clock p.m. That's for Nick to present the candidates to you. Usually at that time, it's going to be twice as many people as you'll actually invite to interview. I think that magic number is typically about not more than 7. And usually it's about 5 or 7 that you'll end up inviting to interview. We'll probably have twice that you'll have to decide from. And then Nick will go ahead and invite those people to interviews. I'm going to pause right there because that is a date that I want to make sure is working for everybody. And you all know that March 30th from 3 to 5, you'll need to secure on your calendar. Does everybody have that, or any concerns or questions about that date and time?
Yeah, that's Thursday. Yeah, I already have it on my calendar.
Okay. I think that it was a date that we talked with everybody. I think the time might have been a little bit different as we started talking to more people. We kind of morphed the time in a, so I just want to make sure that 3 to 5 works for everybody. And if anything changes, please reach out to Nick as soon as possible. We will be sending out calendar invitations after this meeting to make sure we have that secured. So then the next phase will be the interviewing process, and the recommendation that I gave throughout the process was that we would do our first round virtually. While that's not always ideal, it's always best and nice to meet people in person. It actually works out better, and you have less candidates dropping out if you do a virtual first round interview in the very beginning. And since everybody today is used to virtual communications, that's what we're recommending, and it seems like that will work out for everybody as well. So we're looking at virtual interviews for April 13th. From right now, we're putting a placeholder on your calendar from 8 to 5:30. If you have, if there's 7 candidates, we'll need all of that time. If we have less candidates, we'll be able to reduce that time down. But that's a placeholder with for a 7-candidate day. So what I'm hoping for today is that we can make final decisions on panel members, so that is to be determined, and it doesn't need to be determined tonight, but I'd like to see if that's something that we can conclude tonight. We recommend that you consider a city manager from a surrounding city, possibly 3 to 4 key department heads, and also some other folks maybe from maybe a community member, business member, maybe somebody from the port. So maybe just a couple of other people on that panel that I think would be, bringing forward a unique lens that maybe a city manager or an employee may not. That's a big city partner. Maybe even somebody from the county. So those are some thoughts that we have. I wouldn't recommend more than 8 because there's just going to be one panel. And the purpose of this panel, to clarify that before we have more in-depth discussions, the purpose of that panel is to help the council identify which group should be moving forward to a second interview. So Nick will be actually the facilitator of that day. So he'll be briefing the panel in the morning about what the council is looking for in an ideal candidate, facilitating that interview process. And I told Nick that he can reach out to us anytime for, anything that he needs to support him through that process. So we'll probably be communicating periodically by the time he gets there. At the end of that day, Nick should have identified from each of those panel members where they think the top candidates are in that group of 7 or less, and which should move forward. We don't have a hard and fast number of who should move forward in interviews, but typically that usually is about 3 people on average, and that group will move forward to in-person interviews with council in the next round, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I just want to pause there for a minute, see if there's any concerns or questions about the virtual time, the date, and the process that we're looking at. And if there's not, I'd like to see if we can make a final decision on who we'd like to include in that panel. So any comments or questions at this point?
Comments or questions? No questions, no comments?
Okay. So sounds like without any questions or comments, it sounds like we should be able to, come up with these details. I'd like to open it up to, to the mayor or whomever is leading the meeting. Sorry, I can't see. But if you'd like to make a decision tonight, or if you'd like to make a decision to make that on another date, what you could do is maybe make a decision on a subcommittee panel that could finalize some of these decisions for Nick, so we don't have to be in a closed session or a public meeting in order for us to make these decisions. It would be great if you had a subcommittee of this council to be able to finalize these details. I'd like to turn it over to you and see if you have a preference.
All right, Councilmember McQueen? Comments? Councilmember Hernandez, I see you want to say something?
Yes, I was just looking at the calendar and noticed that on April 13th, a lot of us, I believe, will be at the California League of Cities Conference. So I'm not so sure how that being available 8 to 5:30 is going to work.
Yeah, it's not for council. It's for that community employee and subject matter expert panel.
Okay.
That's going to reduce that list down to a smaller group.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. What I'd like to find out is if there's a preference, if there's any interest in creating a subcommittee. The subcommittee usually exists of 2 people off this council. That would be Nick would be able to reach out to, for example, get edits for the brochure, talk to outside of tonight's meeting and say, okay, here's some city managers I've reached out to, or I could reach out to. Who would you like me, who's the top of your list and you'd like to have on this panel? Of the department heads, who would you like to have? Those kinds of decisions that make it a lot easier and faster for him to be able to move through the recruitment process. Do you have any interest in a subcommittee?
Is there any interest in a subcommittee?
I would be interested in serving.
I have full faith in Nick to manage this. I think it is an aggressive timeline, so if the subcommittee doesn't slow down the timeframe, I guess I could support that.
Yeah, I think the subcommittee won't slow it down. It actually will speed it up because Nick will be able to make some decisions with the recruitment announcement. He'll be able to make a decision on this panel, for example. If the full council is in agreement that a city manager, 3 department heads, and a couple of maybe community members, stakeholders would be important for us to have on this panel, then I think Nick and the subcommittee could come up with those final details and start making invitations to whomever you'd like to have on the panel moving forward. It certainly makes things a lot faster having a subcommittee.
Ms. Brown, quick question. I see some of the council members want to be on that subcommittee. Is that something that you recommend or is allowed on the subcommittee?
Yes, it would be 2 council members on the subcommittee, whatever doesn't create a majority.
Okay.
So, Mr. City Attorney, I'm just wondering, are we bound by the Brown Act not to communicate to those 2 council members for that subcommittee?
Yes, a majority of the council would not be entitled to speak with those 2 council members. And I was just going through the analysis in my head as to whether or not it would constitute an ad hoc committee under the Brown Act. But I think that as long as it does not have continuing subject matter jurisdiction, I think it does not have to become subject to the Brown Act with 2 council members.
Do we have an opportunity for the 5 of us to give marching orders, for lack of a better term?
We can always do that at a future city council meeting when that's properly agendized.
Yeah, I'd like to move that we do that, and then that way, when the 2 representatives go, then we could just step back and not be involved. So,
yeah, staff can consider that as a agenda request for a future agenda to come up fairly soon, considering the aggressive timeline.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this
I
time would make
propose that we do that tonight, if that all possible.
Yeah, I think we can make that possible by doing
Is
it
it,
tonight.
I think that we could create I don't know.
Oh. I think we lost
Okay.
her.
Yeah, she's no, she's not frozen.
Ms.
Oh,
Brown.
I'm here again.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm back. My internet went out for a minute, so I apologize. Yeah.
all right. Can you repeat what you were asking for?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I was hoping that if we decided on a subcommittee tonight, that subcommittee could move forward, that we could give that subcommittee marching orders this evening. And if there's anything that is outside of that, I think that that's something that needs to be brought up, at your next meeting. But I was hoping tonight, I don't know what you mean by this interviewing process, which has already been agendized tonight. So I'm hoping that that we could create a subcommittee tonight. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that broad direction is possible. I'm having doubts given the GI Industries versus Thousand Oaks case that was recently decided by the Second Court of Appeals as to whether or not this agenda item is described sufficiently for such action.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Brown,
All right.
would it be possible to, I know that you had an interview with each council member. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I do recall my interview. So anyways, could we have you share with the 2 appointees what the other council members communicated to you? Would that be a good?
Yes.
I mean, because that would kind of serve as marching orders, if you will. But I think I just heard our city attorney say that we would have to agendize this ad hoc or subcommittee.
We could give broad direction right now, but my concern is that the agenda item as written does not have that as an item of business before the council. And the most recent case to determine this issue basically said every item of business, meaning every decision by the council, has to be listed for the council to take such action.
Okay.
So I can't make a motion.
I think the safest course of action is to do it at a future meeting, at the next meeting. whenever we can bring it back. But I think that broad direction given now to any potential members of this subcommittee would fall within the provide general direction description in this agenda item.
Yeah, no, we'll agendize this for a future meeting, hopefully the next one.
Well, can you offer broad direction though, in terms of who in the meantime can work with Nick and the recruiter?
Broad direction.
Yeah, I would,
And then if
I would suggest that, Councilmember Hernandez.
sorry, if I could sit back.
I would like to suggest that, Councilmember Hernandez and Perez, Mayor Pro Tem Perez start working with Nick on that. Is that
Broad enough?
broad enough?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good.
Fantastic, thank you. Sorry if there's a little bit of a delay, so I apologize if I'm interrupting other people's conversations. So I'd like to just let you know that if we could make a decision on this panel members, that would be important to happen in the next couple of weeks. Probably one of the first decisions that will need to be made in order for us to hit our open date of February 16th will be that we'll have a recruitment brochure in a draft format later this week that will need to be shared in order to be able to get input. And just to respond to the question mark earlier about will I be able to summarize the points that I heard from all the council members and the department heads, the answer is yes. I will do that, and I will do that much more succinctly in the brochure. So the brochure will really highlight not only the job duties, but also what I heard everybody's looking for in an ideal candidate. I will have a much longer list or a more detailed list for that I will share with Nick. And the one thing that that's helpful when I call these competencies, when we identify the core competencies that we're looking for in an ideal candidate. You know, what we've heard from everybody, and that'll be solidified from the surveys as well, or emphasize certain competencies from the surveys. That will instruct Nick on what questions would be really important to ask. Once you get to the shortlist meeting, which is going to be on the March 30th with all of you, he'll also share that feedback from the surveys and the core competencies that everybody's identified, and be able to help make sure that you're asking appropriate questions to get to the core competencies that everybody said they're looking for in an ideal candidate.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have any more questions.
All right. I'd like to talk about the final date, and that's going to be the second round of interviews, and that is going to affect council's calendar. So I want to make sure that we have that on your calendar, and that's going to be for April 24th. So on the 13th, well, if we have candidates, we'll be moving those forward to in-person interviews on that date. And it looks like from talking with everybody that we're looking at 3 to 8 p.m. And I just want to make sure that the date and times are on your calendar and that works. And we'll be sending out Nick will be sending out a solidified calendar as well.
Got it. Thank
Do
you.
those times work well for everyone?
Yes.
It looks like they do.
3 p.m.?
Yes, 3 to 8.
Excellent, perfect.
All right, fantastic. What I'm proposing on that date is not only do we have council interviews that day, but we have what we call kind of a meet and greet with the department heads. And I know we will have a few of the key department heads on the first round of interviews, which is perfectly fine. If they also participate in the second round. It is somewhat of an interview because it needs to be structured. The difference is this panel of department heads are not going to be ranking the candidates. They're not going to be selecting them down for council. They're just going to be giving input for council. So let's just put a scenario together. We have 3 candidates, for example, who move forward from the first round to the second round of in-person interviews. They would be going between both panels during the day. They'll have an interview with council and a meet and greet with the department heads. The meet and greet with the department heads will have maybe 4 or 5 structured interview questions for them, but we'll really turn it over about halfway through to the candidates. And then the candidates will be able to ask questions of the department heads. That creates more of a casual conversation, kind of that meet and greet kind of environment we're hoping for. It really gives the candidates some time to also make sure that they're making the best decision they get a chance to hear both from council with some questions they might have, but also their future direct reports. And so we are kind of one-sided on day one. It's all about that panel trying to reduce that group down to a smaller group. We do want to make sure it's a two-way street, and candidates also get a chance to really make sure this is the right decision for them. So I do think that meet and greet process is great for both the department heads and the candidates. And I'd just like to hear from council to see if that's something that you agree with.
Looks like we do. Yeah, everyone's shaking their heads.
Fantastic. All right, so we'll go ahead and send out calendars to everybody, all the department heads, as well as council for April 24th from 3 to 8. And council members, I should also let you know there's going to be a debriefing process where you'll be able to hear from those department heads about the things that they liked about the candidates and any questions or concerns that they might have. And that just is going to help you and inform you of anything that that you may have identified with, or you'll take that into consideration in your final decision that you'll do after your debriefing with that department head. And I'll let the attorney and Nick figure out how that will work. I don't know if it's possible for you to be able to go into a closed session with that group. If not, then a facilitator would be able to speak out from that group. And I'll just turn that over to the attorney and Nick to figure out those. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on. I mentioned earlier, we do a robust advertising campaign. I can share that ad plan with you if you're interested. I don't want to go into any detail that you may not be interested in. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to see that if you are. Okay, I won't go into any detail then, but basically print, online advertising, and also we have a really large diversity outreach too that that really has some great returns on your investment. So also I'd like to just turn it over. I do have a summary of some thoughts that I heard from you on the ideal candidate. Or we could also just allow you to have an opportunity right now to publicly talk about what you're looking for in an ideal candidate. I want to turn it over to council and see what your preference is.
Did you mention you had that you had a summary?
Yeah, I have put some, obviously I've talked to a lot of people, so it's a long list of wish lists, but I could start there and see if there's anything that anybody would like to add to that list.
Yes, can we hear the summary, please?
Sure, yeah. So one of the things that came up was communicator. Communication obviously is a lot of things. It's not just somebody who communicates regularly, effectively, and often, but that also included engagement, listening, and also availability, responsiveness, and commitment to getting back to people. Also equal communications to each council member, really making sure there's a concerted effort that there is equal and appropriate communications amongst all council. They're looking for a people person, outgoing, priority driven, somebody who can effectively work with council to help you set your goals and your priorities. I know that that's something that would be really important for all groups that I talk to, that council have a priority list of set goals, and this person should be able to help the city council come up with that strategic direction and set goals in priority lists. So when there's all kinds of things that come up for us when we want to go in a different direction, or we get really excited about a certain project, we get to weigh that project or that initiative or that new exciting item against the priority list that the full council has agreed to be able to kind of stabilize a direction and goal for the city. So following through, something else, really somebody who is able to not only set those priorities, but be able to keep council informed and keep projects on track, and keep everybody informed about any delays or challenges with meeting those goals. So really somebody who's results driven and all the things that come along with that. Adaptable, somebody who can make change and improve and shift as things happen. We always don't live in a perfect world, and COVID's been a perfect example of that. We have emergency management issues and other things. So somebody who's able to be flexible and adaptable and really help staff with that as well. Helping them also adapt and shift as needed. Creative, innovative, and looks for ways to get to yes. Not that we want anybody to do anything that isn't legal or ethical or anything else, but there's lots of times you're trying to reach, to get to something. The conversation we had earlier about wanting to do something, but it wasn't necessarily the appropriate time. Like, how do we find a creative solution to getting us to where we want to be? And that's really what they're looking for. Somebody who isn't just, nope, can't do that. Yes, we can't do it that way, but I think that let me look into some creative ways for us to be able to accomplish the goals that you'd like. So the core leadership strengths that you're looking for: positive, engaging, inclusive, responsive. The core competencies that everybody should be coming with is budget and finance background. Somebody who knows how to work with a complex fiscal oversight. Really kind of breaking that down also for laypersons. The public, whoever that might be, but really being able to help explain budgets and finances, and also be able to look at dollars and grants and be effective at creating more revenue streams. In order for you to be able to accomplish your goals, you need resources to be able to do that. So somebody's going to be able to bring those ideas forward for you. So ideally somebody with union experience. It's not a huge, organization, or, you don't have multiple union organizations, but obviously that's helpful. So somebody who treats everybody with dignity and respect, somebody who's worked with the union in the past is helpful to be able to sit at the table and help Nick and council be able to facilitate challenges or just regular negotiations. So that would be ideal. So somebody who wants to be a part of our community. So that's what I heard a lot from everybody. So somebody who really wants to be involved and engaged in the public, not just reaching out to them, but maybe showing up to public events and, being, kind of one of the faces of your executive team, but, in addition to council. So ideally that person would then, if they're going to be able to be available for community meetings, hopefully live within close proximity for them to be able to participate in those kinds of things. I know we can't legally require somebody to live in your community, but emergencies happen and they need to be a part of things that happen on a regular basis like that. So also be available for different events. So that would be ideal if they were in somewhat close proximity. Let's see. So just want to see if there's anything else I might have missed. Economic development acumen. So somebody who has that skill set as well as a core competency. Somebody who's also been a current city manager, ideally. Somebody who has that experience would be a more ideal candidate than somebody who doesn't. Somebody who knows how to be forward thinking, apolitical. I mentioned inclusive and engaging, but that's, I think, something I heard from everybody I spoke to. So that keeps coming up. Strategic planning, somebody who's done strategic planning, somebody
Ms.
who's
Brown,
really good at not only.
if I may,
Yes.
maybe some of the council might not be okay with sharing out all the comments, since we can read it. I mean, I don't think I'm speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you could see that. I didn't know that you could see my notes. I apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, thank you.
But we appreciate the effort put into it.
I'm so sorry that I thought you were just still looking at the framework. I apologize. A big visionary, somebody who's big on vision. So that's everything I think that I heard from everybody. So is there anything else that you'd like to add that maybe I didn't hear from you? Or maybe I didn't include in that summary?
I just wanted to make one comment about the distance that the city manager should live in proximity to the city. Yes, it's a good idea, I think, for city manager to be available during emergencies. I don't know if proximity would resolve that. And I think it narrows the pool once we put that criteria down. So it's something we should consider when we're looking at the candidates, but I wouldn't say it should be an overriding consideration.
I'd like to add to that. I know we've been recruiting in difficult times, and you know, a lot of executives are choosing to even get apartments, you know, and it seems to work out sometimes for years for folks to be able to work during the week in a location and have family travel to you know, to where they're living in an apartment or set their second residence, and then also sometimes going back to their home. That seems to work out. It can work out for many years for a lot of people. So I just think that, you know, it depends on the candidate and the organization on whether or not that could be something that's flexible, but it's certainly something I'm seeing a lot of.
Technology helps also.
Yeah.
All right. Is this the end of the presentation?
Yeah. That's everything. If there's nothing else that needs to be added, that's fine. Then I unless there's other questions that you have for me about the process and or anything, then.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Brown.
you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So the recommendation is for City Council to review the Port Hueneme City Manager Recruitment Framework recommendations by Wendy Brown Consulting Professional Inc. and provide input and direction for the staff city manager recruitment. I don't think we're gonna do a motion. It's not needed unless we're requesting some action to be taken, but we're not. So it looks like
I thought I heard that you wanted to agendize something for the next meeting, and you also wanted Councilmember Hernandez and Mayor Pro Tem Perez to work with Nick Jones and the consultant.
Correct.
okay. Yeah. Did we have a
We kinda
motion in a
did-
second?
No, we kind of did like a broad
Okay. So
direction per
We can do a
candidate.
motion in a second on those. We'll go through it on a roll call vote. Just get that
Okay.
squared away so we can start the process.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Gama.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Perez.
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember McQueen Lejeune.
Yes.
And Mayor Martinez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. I guess we're gonna skip all the way up to requests for future agenda items. I'd like to remind council members that all requested items will require a motion, a second, and majority vote for adopted council policies to be placed on future agenda. Does anyone have any requests for future agenda items?
I just was made aware that the Air Pollution Control Board meeting is February 14th. And I would like to get on the agenda how to be designated the public good option for the dredge projects. I mean, I would like to look at the process to do that.
I'm not sure if I understand.
So there's a process to apply for a public good option with the Air Pollution Control Board.
For emission credits, is that what?
So we don't have to get emission credits. Anyways, it's a complicated area.
Well,
and-
that might not be something that we have to do.
No, it is.
Is it something that Ms. McQueen Lejeune does at the actual meeting, since she is the representative?
Well, we would have to find out. There's a lot to find out.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we requested a presentation from the director of APCD to come and talk to us about that process and instruct us on how to do that.
Okay.
Can we
All right,
make a
I'll just
motion?
withdraw, I'll withdraw my request. I plan on attending the first meeting coming up here in February, and then, and of course, our representative could hopefully make that request of the director, and then there's a process, contact city clerk and get on the schedule type thing. Right?
To add an agenda item to this, an item to this agenda?
Or a presentation.
Oh, a presentation, yes.
And who's your alternate on APCD? Do you have one? Okay.
All right, so I would like to get something on the agenda. Due to time constraints preventing proper agendizing of the last minute sister city engagement opportunity that would solidify our sister city relationship with the city of Puerto Vallarta. And since I will be traveling this week with the Santa Barbara Sister City leadership team at my own expense, I'd like to agendize approval and funding for this trip retroactive. And then additionally, I would update the city council on our status as a sister city with Puerto Vallarta.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
And then I would also like to add one more item on the agenda. I've been noticing the volleyball courts' placement might not be the best place, and so I would want us to talk about where we could move them. And also, from my understanding, is we have more volleyball courts, so that we haven't been put out. So from my understanding is we have a few of them that haven't been put out, but we already put out two. So since those haven't been put permanently, I would want us to have a discussion on where would be the best place to put them.
Would you consider amending it to include beach management, sand management? Because I think volleyball, sand piles, so that we could have a
Yeah,
staff
staff
report on.
report with volleyball courts and the sand
Yes, I'll second that.
management.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
All right. Are there any more requests for future agenda items? Okay, I'd like to adjourn this meeting. The time is now 8:41.
Good job.
Due to President's Day, the next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 21st, 2023 at 6:30 p.m.
I'm sorry, I was 40 minutes late.
Need more meetings.
Okay.